are also great for the producer processors because we didn't see a big dip in wholesale sales. Now, as we said on our rolling average, which was the one thing that's also been good is our wholesale prices have started coming up over the course of the last few weeks. Some of that is some of these sales were put on because people wanted product for $4.20. But while our prices did drop under $3 a gram wholesale, and remember, we'll get into this more later about package sizes, but while our numbers did drop to less than $3 a gram, that's for all sizes. That's for 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 gram, 3.5, 7, 14, 28 ounces as we go through the whole thing. So, as you can look, and every day you can check, and again, you're right, Dave, we got small numbers here, but we can actually look on FrontRunner and see what our prices are like on the wholesale side.
Can you read those?
That's check something quick. So just for hey, Aaron?
Yeah.
Come back here, I'm going to have you call some numbers out sometimes. So to give you an idea, as of yesterday, on the wholesale side, 1 gram packs were selling for $3.33, 2 gram was for $7.13, 3.5, $12.49 a pack, and then I can keep going. So it goes all the way up to an ounce. I'll let you know what you mentioned. So just keep an eye on where I'm on the screen. So as a producer processor, you can keep an eye as a FrontRunner subscriber. You can keep an eye on what the prices are on that specific size. Now we all have our top shelf and our lower shelf, so you have to find out where you're selling your product in conjunction with what the state average is. But what we're finding is while there's top shelf and there's bottom shelf, we haven't been able to find that one processor that's really selling for a higher level. I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but we haven't found it yet. So on the home page on our flour is really selling. Flour is selling at a right there at the $3 range. But here's the thing that we want to talk about. We'll talk a lot about this as we move on. Is what is the markup? What is the markup? Because the markup, we're calling the markup pre-tax. So when you hear me talk about numbers on the wholesale and resale side, it's all going to be pre-tax. Because I hear a lot of producer processors saying, oh, they're marking it up 3 times. I'm like, well, that's after tax. They're giving it. So we want to know what the actual markup is they're doing before the 37% tax. Here's what I can tell you, and we'll look at how we can find different ones. On average, retailers are marking up your product 2.1 times. So they're basically doubling it by the time they put the 37% tax on, and whatever the sales tax is for the city, it comes out to a 3 times markup. But the retailer on flour is generally marking up 2.1 times. That's the fun part. But now we get to the really exciting stuff. The one that everybody likes so much. What about the cartridges? What about the cartridges? The retailers are screwing me. Sorry, guys. Cartridges are the new thing. They're the new fad. Okay? So cartridges are the new thing that's getting out there. Why? We've been talking about this for months now, and it's really interesting to see what's happened. Because flour started in July of 14 selling for, $12, $14 a gram wholesale, selling $45 retail out the door, and everybody's like, money! And all of about a month later, everybody's going, where did all the money go? And it was a race to the bottom. So what a lot of the processors did is they said, well, we've got to find out what's more profitable. And so they started looking at cartridges, or oil, I should say, not necessarily cartridges specifically. But they started looking at oil. And oil was much more profitable for the producer processor. And there wasn't as much of it out there, so they had some power. So I'm going to jump over here a little bit to,
Can I ask you a question before
please.
we go back? You know, so we were talking about average prices for retailers and what the average gram is going for. Can a retailer pull out information from this data and sort of stratify it based on how much are we selling at premium, average, below average, all those sort of things? And you have some, I don't know if you go into regression.
Yes.
And now, okay.
Yes, we can. We'll jump into that in a minute. So yeah.
So you can figure out what your product mix needs to be, who your customers are, that kind of
We
thing.
can do that now. The demographics of the customer is
Well-
my holy grail.
Right,
I don't have it yet,
right.
but I will.
Zip code.
Yeah.
God, that is a good profile. For the census.
But I will. So on our retailer page, this is our retailer sales over the course of the last 12 months. The green is the flour, the yellow is the edibles, and the teal or light green is the concentrates. Here's the funny thing you notice. As we've grown, and we've grown consistently, we've had some months that have dropped. This drop right here is actually they removed, here we have the 25% tax added. Here they move the 25% tax out and they don't put the 37% tax on. So if you actually multiply this by 20, or you actually multiply that by 75%, you'll see we had continuous growth. We've only had a few months that have come down. But we've grown every month. But here's the thing. Edibles, which is this yellow one here, has never broken 10%. We've barely had a day where edibles have broken 10% of sales on a day. We have more than 10% real early, but it's kind of held out. But what has grown is our concentrates, is our cartridges, and what our extract formulation is. That has grown quite considerably. So we've had a lot of people jumping into the extract business, and I want to talk a little bit about how that's affected some of the industry, using some examples. So we'll jump back here to MJ Ticker, and these items are on different. A lot of these are on both websites. I'm just trying to kind of make it easy for us right here. So let's look at the top 10. Let's look at the top 10 processors over the course of of this year to date and over last month. So as we look down here, and we're going to get more into this in a second, we've got Northwest Cannabis Solutions, huge tier 3 down in the Limpia area. Fat Panda, also Grow Up Farms, huge tier 3, even growing out in Spokane. Artisan, tier 3. Harmony, I believe, is a tier 3. Where am I going to here? There we are. So all of a sudden I look up, and we've got coming up the ranks, we've got Cowlitz County Cannabis. And I said, holy mackerel, these guys are flying up the charts. I don't know who they are, so I went to look at their website. Guess what they didn't have? Website. So I started, I said, well, they got to have a Facebook page. Nope. They got to have a Twitter. Got to have Instagram. Nothing. And then I looked them up, and I said, they're a tier 2. I said, how is this tier 2 flying up the charts so much? And what I found out was, let me find them here, is although they're tier 2, they sell extracts, and a lot of it, and a lot of extracts. Matter of fact, they hardly sell any flour. I'd venture to say those flour sales they have are probably what they produced, and I called them. I said, man, you're on our top 10. Do you got a logo? I want to put you on the site. He said, yeah, I think we got one. And so the one thing I started noticing was we've got a lot of tier 3s in our top 10. We've got a lot of tier 3s that have gone up and down. But as I looked at it, I started looking at Cowlitz County. I said, they're extracts. They're selling extracts. Those sell on wholesale at $9 a gram for CO2. $9 a half gram for CO2. $10 and change for BHO. So, or the other way around. So I was looking at it and I said, okay, and then I went back to my old buddy, Adam Smith at Avitas. Because these guys, to go with your point, Dean, these guys were able early to be in the top 10 as a tier 2, and they stayed there. Because they were really one guy that was able, when everybody else was dropping to, at that time, $5 a gram, they were all keeping their prices at $6.50. And when it fell to $4.50, they were keeping their prices at $5.75. They were able to keep their prices on their flour higher. But I was talking to Adam, he's my buddy. He's like, yeah, he's like, we're staying above ground, but we're a tier 2, and we can't, and we're a small tier 2, and we got a moratorium, and we can't grow. So they bought an extraction machine, and all of a sudden, they're back up in the top 10. And they're back up in the top 10 because you can see, as early as late as July of last year, they were all flour. The extracts are what's keeping them in the top 10. And they're doing very well. They're going down into Oregon. So right now, for those smaller growers, the ones that are staying up there are not staying up there in flour. At least not flour as bud. We'll talk about some of the ways that they are staying up there. Yeah, sorry.
So in your example, Avitas is a brand that we know pretty well, and it sells pretty well. But the first example, the Cowlitz County, you don't know the brand. I'm not familiar with the brand. Are they selling under a brand name, or are they selling private label? Are they selling lower cost?
Dab dudes. So the sub is dab dudes.
Oh, dab dudes. All right.
But
that is a good
here's the funny part about Cowlitz County as we started, and Aaron and I were laughing about this earlier. So they're doing great, and I called him up. Seems like a great guy. I want to go visit him one day. I haven't met him. So I called him up and I said, "Man, y'all are kicking ass." He's like, "Cool." I mean, it was like the traditional Days of Reviews, like, awesome, man. And we were like, this is great. So we started looking at what's going on. And the one thing we noticed, and I'm going to get into this to what you were talking about, Dean, is the one thing we noticed was what were they doing? They were selling their product for less than other people's product. And so what we've seen has happened in the concentrate market is exactly what happened in the flour market. It still got based on price. People were still coming in and buying based on price, even with concentrates. It wasn't, we still haven't found our Johnny Walker Blue. One day we will, but we haven't found it yet. But I do want to say something a little bit anecdotal. And as already qualified, he is my friend, so I will say it, but it made it easy to call. So we were at the Bellingham meetup, 2 Bellingham meetups ago. So we're talking when it was on the lake, so this was 6 months ago. And I was talking to one of the retailers up there in Whatcom County, and she made a comment. She said, "Man, our customers love Avitas cartridges." And I said, "Well, that's sweet. I'll tell them. He'll be happy to hear that." And then as we went on, I kept hearing more of people saying, "Man, we love Avitas cartridges. Our customers are coming in and buying it." I'm going to have Aaron talk here in a minute, and he'll give you some of the anecdotal stuff that he noticed. And he was a retail manager in that area as well. And so I called Adam, and I said, "Adam," I said, "what are you doing? Are you spiking your shit with cocaine or what?" I'm like, why is it that people are in love with your product? And he said, "Brian," because I'll tell you what we did. He said, "We called the manufacturer, we bought the machine, we called the manufacturer came down." He said, "We trained all our guys and we follow the directions to a T. We don't tinker with it. We don't think we're smarter than the manufacturer. We don't think we're this master or brilliant person in the world. We just take our product, we buy good bud, and we put it and we run it exactly the way we were taught to run it by the manufacturer." So, as a guy that's not a grower, and I will openly say I am not a grower, that in just my anecdotal experience, when it comes to concentrates, and I've heard this from more than one producer processor, when it seems when people start tinkering with it because they think they're making it better, it doesn't seem to come out as much. That's just an anecdotal, something I've noticed from somebody that's talked to a lot of people, for people that like it. But back to our point. Prices are still driving the market. So here's what you can look at on Front Runner to go with what you were talking about, Dean. We put this fun little chart on there. So Monkey Grass Farms, first indoor tier 3 in the state, out there in Grant County or whatever county is right next to Grant County. Great group, family run. Dad and the daughters run the grow. Sons and cousins got a couple of retailers. Family group out there in Wenatchee, and great group of people. You can see they've jumped on the concentrate bandwagon as well. But what they do is they have not tried to reinvent the wheel, and I've got to give them credit. So we've got on Front Runner this nice little graph right here. This is product price comparison, and this is a graph that probably I get asked about more than any graph, because I think it's one of the most useful graphs we have, and people don't know how to use it. So obviously I haven't told them very well. But what this is that red line on there is state average, meaning if you average what everybody in the state is selling it at, that's what we're calling beta. That's our red line. We have an average for wholesale, we have an average for retail. Right now, Monkey Grass Farms will openly tell you, they did at our retailer summit, they're happy being the Coors Light of pot. They sell right at average. They sell at wholesale at average. The retailers turn around and sell their product right at average, and they sell a lot of pot. They do a very good job. They dropped out of the top 10, but they're still up there. They're still selling their product, and it's not. They don't come in trying to charge more than other people. So that's going to take me back to our buddies over here in Cowlitz County, because I actually like these guys. This is their average cost. They sell cheaper than state average. They sell at wholesale, cheaper than state average. Thus the retailer can turn around and sell it cheaper than state average. They don't try to come in and say, we're the Johnny Walker Blue. They come in and say, buy a whole bunch of me. And as Aaron will probably talk about here in a little while, yeah.
What's the blue and the red line? So this is the
Wholesale price and retail price. I only know that because I can't read it, but I know what it is. So they're selling, Aaron, I need you back.